Hey, Motorman here. And boy, I got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is especially for Harley Davidson and, well, also all motorcycle manufacturers. Sales are down over the past year. In fact, Harley Davidson sales, this is from motorcycle.com, Harley Davidson sales for the first quarter of 2025 are down 24% over the same period last year. And last year it was down 23%. So that's a big drop. Also, clothing sales are down. I think it's 11%. Accessories down 14%. All bad news for Harley Davidson and for, well, other manufacturers as well. You know, it's the same thing in the car business. Sales are down on pickup trucks and cars. You could see, go to any car dealership and there's cars all over the place. Go to any Harley Davidson dealership and they are overrun with motorcycles. In fact, I think they said there was 60,000 motorcycles sitting in dealer showrooms around North America. That's a lot of bikes. That's like 3 years worth of motorcycles. But the good news is, if you're in the market to buy a new or even a used motorcycle, well, prices got to come down. And that's exactly what's happened with Harley Davidson. They lowered the price on the Road King Special. It was $25,749. That's MSRP, not counting freight. It's down to $25,000, of course, plus freight. We got the Lowrider S. It was $20,500. Now just $20,000. Well, you're saving $500 there. The Street Bob was $17,200. It's now $15,999 or $16,000. So that's a really good savings. And the Nightster, which they reduced the price of when it came out in 2025, I think they were $12,500, something like that. They reduced the price to $10,500, and they reduced it again now to just $10,000. Yeah, $10,000. You know, it's a nice chunk of change, but you're getting a lot for your money. Recently, I think it was last week, maybe the week before, a student came to the class and had a Nightster, and I'd ridden them quite a bit. I was even at the introduction with Harley Davidson. They're fine motorcycles. As I said, my only gripe with them is they should have made it look more like the older Sportster. But anyway, I rode the bike through the course just to test it out, and it is a dream come true at low speeds. The handlebars turn very far from lock to lock. It's got plenty of lean angle. It is one of the easiest motorcycles to ride at low speeds. So especially if you're a shorter person or a newer rider, I highly recommend you take a look at that motorcycle. And I know 90 horsepower is a lot for a brand new rider, but you got rain mode, which makes it much easier to coordinate the clutch and throttle. It cuts the power a little bit. And then as you get better and more experienced, well, you use the sport mode or the touring mode. Fine motorcycle, especially at that price point. Right now, the best-selling motorcycle in America, according to a couple of sources that I looked up on Google, is the Kawasaki Z750 or Z650, excuse me. It's cost $6,100. That's not counting freight or any other charges they could add to it. It's selling so well that a lot of dealers are just out of stock. But in fact, let me give you all the motorcycles that have an improvement in sales for 2025. Okay, Honda Rebel 1100T. Sales are up 48% according to Honda for that particular model. It doesn't distinguish whether it be the DCT or the manual transmission. The Suzuki V-Strom 800DE, sales are up for that. The Indian Scout Rogue, Triumph Trident 660, and the Harley Davidson Nightster. Now, Harley Davidson doesn't break down their sales, at least from what I could find, from bike to bike, but if they reduced the price of the Nightster down to $10,000, plus they got special financing. In fact, they even have a first responder rebates on several of their models. Check Harley Davidson for that. So the good news is, like I said, it's a buyer's market. So when bikes aren't selling, the dealers are stuffed with motorcycles they can't sell. What happens? Well, the price has got to come down. That only makes sense. And if you're in the market to buy a motorcycle, whether it be a new motorcycle or even a used, because there's so many used bikes on the market, the price of used bikes has to come down as well. During COVID, if you remember, they stopped all production of motorcycles. So what happened? People went to buy bikes. All of a sudden, the dealers had no new bikes in stock. So they were buying used bikes from owners. In fact, they were calling up owners and saying, well, you bought this bike a year or two ago, and if you'd like to sell it, we'll buy it back from you for exactly what you paid for it. So they get that bike in stock, and then they got to jack it up $2,000. So the price on used bikes went way up as well as new bikes. A lot of them were getting a premium, just like car dealers were. Some dealers getting $5,000 or $10,000 over list because there was such a limit, especially on pickup trucks. But that's the way it goes. And it's a capitalist system that we have here. It's the best system in the world. It's the only one that's worked and brought, like, I think, 1 billion people out of poverty with capitalism. But the problem is right now, motorcycle sales overall are down, just like bicycle sales. If you notice, when I was a kid, everybody had a bicycle. If you were a kid, that was your transportation. You got around with a bicycle. Today, you hardly see any kids on bicycles. And the same thing with any kind of sporting equipment. Sales of baseball gloves are way down, footballs. I mean, the kids are sitting in their house and they're playing video games. That's just the way it is. Will it turn around? Will people get back to where, get a little bit more physical activity, get more into sports, more into riding bicycles, which then graduates to dirt bikes, which then graduates up to street bikes. So is it going to change? I don't know. There's been a lot of ups and downs in the motorcycle business for many, many years, from the 60s, the 70s, 80s, 90s. It goes up, it goes down. Will it ever get back to where it was in, say, I don't know, 2005 was stellar years? They were selling all kinds of motorcycles. Harley Davidson was selling so many bikes, they were getting a premium, thousands of dollars over list. That's not the case anymore, with possible exception of certain models that are limited edition. But right now, things are great for the motorcycle buyer, not so much for the motorcycle seller. That's just the way it is. And I want to remind you too that if you want to save some money, here's something that hasn't gone up in price, and that's my Ride Like a Pro experience video. It's still $20 in DVD or download. $20 to your door, no shipping. We also have Surviving the Mean Streets. That's just $15. You can get both of these, or you can get them on USB for $34.95. I like the USB because you could plug it into your phone when you go to practice, and you could watch a particular exercise and then go out and do it. And of course, it's very detailed, much more detailed than what you see on my free YouTube videos. If you think riding a motorcycle is fun now, imagine how much more fun it's going to be when you actually know what the hell you're doing. And I don't care if you spend $5,000 on a motorcycle or $50,000 on a motorcycle, you should actually know how to ride it. It's going to be a lot more fun. I also want to remind you, my new channel, Muscle Cars Old and New. If you're into muscle cars or classic cars, please go to that channel. I've got, I don't know, 8 or 10 videos at least there. And comment below, and please subscribe to that channel as well as this one. Don't forget to subscribe to Ride Like a Pro and Muscle Cars Old and New, and comment below. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something by this video. And like I said, if you're in the market, it's a buyer's market right now. Thanks for watching.